It's something that we've already done in Flask, and we're going to revisit it now from the context of Django. Can anyone tell me what the point of session was? Does anyone remember why session can be? For redirect? Any other ideas? Say that one more time. Get and post. Okay, not quite. I think I heard something over here that was kind of.
User activity throughout the website.
Yeah, so if there's some kind of information that we want to carry with us from request to request, that's where session comes in handy, right? Let's say a user is using our app and I want to know what zip code that user is currently in or something like that. Maybe they'll tell me their zip code, and that way on the following requests, I'll still know what it is. Normally, if that user were to make another request to my application, I have no information about what he already did, right? It's finished. That last request was its own thing. I don't know anything about that user's zip code anymore. So if we put that information in session, however, we will have that available to us on the next request as well. All right, so let's get a new project going. We're going to kind of keep practicing this a little bit because I know the setup process is pretty involved. So I'm going to go to my Dojo directory. I'm going to go to my Python stack. Okay. Now what I want to do is activate my environment, right? We always have to do this if we're going to start up a new Django project. I happen to know where my environment is, so that's how I can kind of do this in one line. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say source. Oops. I'm going to go up 2 levels into my environments. And then I've got this Django environment that I've created, and then we'll say bin/activate. Oh, I guess I didn't know where it was. It's it's actually only 1 level up, I think is what it is. There we go. All right, cool. So I've got my environment activated, and this is kind of a tricky thing too, because now you need to be back where you want to create the project, right? But because I did it in one step, I don't really need to do any navigation at this point. I'm already where I want to be. All right, you guys remember how to create a new Django project?
Django
admin, start project, and then we'll name this, I'm just going to call it session demo. Okay, now I want to actually open this in VS Code, right? So I'll say code session demo. Does everyone have this command working on their in their VS Code so they can open it from the terminal?
We have to set a path to make it work.
I mean, that's one way, but you should also be able to do it from the VS Code menu. So if you grab me later on, I can try to help you with that. All right, cool. So let's open that up. So we're opening this guy up in a new VS Code window. Now the only thing is, if I open my terminal here, which I like to use, this integrated one, my environment's no longer activated, right? All right, so let's fix that. I'll say source up a couple levels into my environments, Django, bin activate. Okay, excellent. So the other thing that we want to do now that we've got our environment activated is we want to create our main application for this project, right? So how do we do that? Python, manage.py, start app, and then the name of our app, I'm just going to call mine main. Cool, it created that folder for us, excellent. So in order to register this app with my project, how do I need to do that? You guys remember? So inside here, oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's just come in here. We'll put main. Very good. All right. What else do I need to do as far as these URLs go?
You need to make a pass to the app level.
Okay, to my main app, right? Yeah. So this is where we're dealing with our route prefixes that we were just talking about. God darn it. I want to close this terminal. Hang on one second. Close. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's go down here to the routes. I'm going to comment out this admin since we're not using it. Not a critical step, but just something I do. And then the other thing that we're going to need to import here is this include function, right? Okay. And now inside our URL patterns, I'm going to say the path, and I'm just going to do an empty string. That means that our route prefix is just that there won't really be a route prefix, right? I'm going to say include main.urls. Do I have this file yet?
No.
No, not yet. So we need to actually create that, right? And I'm going to grab this little piece of code here because I know I'm going to need that path function as well. And then I'll just close this out. So in here, inside of our main, let's just create this file, urls.py. I'll bring in that import that I stole from the other urls.py. And now I need to do the same thing. I need to create this variable called URL patterns. Okay. And again, that's going to be a list, right? So for each URL pattern, I'm going to invoke this path function. Okay. So if I want to have an index route, I would say the path is just this empty string. And this will give me just a localhost 8000 with nothing after it, right? Now I'm going to say this will be my views index function. Oh, wait. Do I have this variable available to me? No, I don't have my views, right? And you can see we're getting a squiggly on that as well. Undefined variable views. Cool. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to say from the current directory that we're in, import views.
Question.
Yes?
Why do we have the squiggly line for the Django.url?
Because VS Code doesn't know about our virtual environment. It's reading these files as if we had no virtual environment at all. Yeah. Okay. So now we're saying when we hit this route, this empty string or our index route, we want to invoke this function, views.index. I don't have that function yet, right? So I better create it. So let's go inside of our views file, and let's create this index function. The function is always going to take in the request, right? And then generally what we're going to do is we're going to be rendering some kind of a template, at least for a page like this, for our index page. Okay, so I'll say return render, and then I need to pass in the request as the first argument there. The second argument is going to be the name of our template. So we'll just say this is going to be index.html. All right, I'll save that. Have we created this file yet? Not yet, so let's make it, right? I need to create inside my main folder a templates directory. And then inside that templates directory, let's just create this index.html. Okay, I'll put in some boilerplate here. Very nice. And then let's just see if we can get this guy working. So if we say hello, excellent. All right. We're in pretty good shape to actually run this app, no? Did I forget anything? I'm not sure that I did. I think we're okay. So let's just try to run it. So let's open up the terminal here, and then let's say python manage.py run server. Oh man, that port's already in use. I think I had another demo up here. Let me just close this out. Okay, cool. Let's try it one more time. Okay, so we're running. Let's just make sure that we got this page showing up. Localhost 8000. Hello. Nice. All right. So let's talk about what our goal is today. What we want to do is we want to create an application where a user can choose his or her own favorite color. Okay, so it's basically just going to be like a select input. They'll select their favorite color, they'll submit that form, and then once they submit that form, we're going to save their favorite color in the session. Okay? Now, when we come back to the index page after we've saved it to the session, I want to change the background of the index page to be that person's favorite color. Okay? All right, makes sense, guys? All right, great. So the first thing that I'm going to do, excuse me, is I'm just going to create like a, let me close that out here, an inline style here for the background. Okay, so up here in the head of the document, I'm just going to create a style element. And then inside there, let's just say body is going to have a background. I'll set it to white for now, but we're gonna kind of make some changes to that later on. All right. Now, inside of our views.py, let's see if we can pass some information to that view as far as what we want that background color to be, right? So here's what I want to do. I want to see if the user has already given me a favorite color, okay? And then if that user has given me a favorite color, if it's in session currently, let's pass that to the view. If it's not, let's just pass white, right? That'd be kind of like our default favorite color. They're using the app for the first time, they're just going to get the white background. All right. So how can I check and see if, by the way, has anyone gotten to session in Django? No? Do you remember how we could check if something was in session in Flask? Does anyone remember that?
Check if it was in session.
Yeah, if I could check and see if a specific key value pair was in my session. No, it's not coming from the request form, right? Remember we had that session dictionary that we were working with? And we could say if something was not in that dictionary.
Not in session.
Yeah. So let's see if we can do this. We'll say if we'll just call it favorite color in, and here instead of importing session like we did in Flask, we're going to say in request.session. Okay. So if it's in request.session, what I want to do is I want to just set this variable favorite color to request.session favorite color. Okay. If it's not in session currently, let's just do this. Let's just say that variable is going to be white. All right. Now, if I want to pass this to my view, to my template, how do I generally do that? You guys remember?
Dictionary.
Yeah, we're going to create this context dictionary, right? So I can say context equals a dictionary, and then I'm going to have a key called, we'll just call it fav color, and I'm going to set that equal to this variable favorite color. Okay. And then how do I pass that to my template ultimately? I need to add that as the third argument to this render function. Okay. Now if I go back here, I can actually replace this because I want this, I want it to be dynamically substituted when this page is rendered, right? I want to actually use the value that I passed in that context dictionary. So how can I output something to the template? Double mustache, right? So the key that I had was fav color. All right, very good. Let's see if we're still running here. We still seem to be okay. Let me try to run this guy here. Okay. I don't have any problems yet, so that's good. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to actually Oh, actually, before we get there, let's take a quick look at the page source here. So the substitution is working as we expected, so that's good, right? Okay. So the next thing that I want to put on this page is just going to be a form which is going to allow the user to select that favorite color, right? So let's go ahead and create that guy. Close this out. No more hello. Let's create our form. All right. I'm going to create input group here, favorite color. You guys know how to create a drop-down? Have you done this yet? Select, right? So let's do a select. We'll give it a name of, I'll call it color. Okay, and then inside this select element, I need to put my different options, right? Right. Let's give them 6 different options. All right. So what colors do we want to give the user to choose from?
Blue.
Blue, okay, cool. Should we give them white? No? Ah, forget white.
What if it's white, dude?
Yeah.
And other.
Let's make things more, spice things up, right? No white. You can't get white. You only get it when you first load the page. That's it. What other colors do we want?
Red.
Brown? Brown, red.
Yes.
Okay. Burgundy. All right, that sounds interesting.
Cyan.
Cyan. Whoops. Cyab. Okay, cyan.
Indigo.
Now we're getting some interesting options. This is cool. Someone said turquoise, right?
M-A-U-V.
Oh, mauve.
Mauve.
I think it's pronounced mauve, something like that. All right, so that's a pretty good set. There we got blue, brown, red, cyan, burgundy, turquoise. Very nice. All right, let's create an action for this form. What is the action attribute for? I think I heard it over there. Say it again.
It's
Someone.
It's a route. Yeah.
It's the route, right? It's the route that we want to handle this form submission.
Was that you who said
Huh?
it? Was you who said it?
Yeah, by blinking.
You were right.
All right, so I'm just going to make it process-form. That's not really super specific, but whatever, no problem. All right, our method that we're going to use is typically going to be post, right? All right, and then let's add a little submit button down here. So button, submit. Okay, there we go. There's our lovely looking form. Pretty awesome. We've got our different options. Nice. All right, cool. So now we don't have anything set up for process form, right? We need to actually create this URL so that we can handle it. So I'm going to go inside my views here. And let's just create a def of process form. Okay? This is always going to take in the request, right? And what are we going to do inside here? We're going to need to make some changes to our session, right? Because we're going to take whatever the user submitted and then put that into our session as that user's favorite color. And then we're simply going to redirect that user back to the index page. All right. So where can I get the form data? Does anyone remember?
From the button.
Request.
Oh, there.
It's not going to be request.form because that was Flask. Right now it's going to be request.post, right? And I can also do a check here. What if a person hits this route and it's not a post request? I can just get them out of there, right? I could do something like that. So if request.method does not equal post, let's just return a redirect to the index route. Do we have this function redirect though?
No, we have
No, I need to import that, right? So come up here and get it. All right. So if we've gotten past line 18, that means that, yeah, it was a post request, so we're good, right? So how do I save something to my session? I get to it that way, right? Now it's going to be request.session, not just session. And then I'm going to say at the key that I'm interested in, which was favorite color, equals request.post favorite color, or we just called it color in the form, right? I want you guys to be aware that these all have to be aligned, and if you name something wrong, you're going to find that, wait a minute, my post data doesn't have the thing that I expected. So if you look back in index.html, we called our input color. So it's very important that we use that name on the back end when we're processing it. Okay, so I'm saying request.session at the favorite color key is going to have a value of request.post color, which means the form input with the name color in it, right? Any questions about that part?
So why does it refer to the name rather than the ID?
That's just how HTML works. So on the back end, you'll have access to things referenced by name. The back end is not going to know anything about the IDs. It'll only know about those names. That's it. Okay. All right. So we're pretty good there. We've just assigned this key to have this value, and that's good. Now what do we want to do after we're done kind of processing this form?
Redirect them.
Let's just redirect them, right? Same thing. Return redirect here. Okay, excellent. So let's refresh the page. Let's see if we can submit this form. Okay, let's say I want to do burgundy. Oh no, I forgot something, didn't I? Did anyone know what it was or notice what it was? We didn't actually add this to our urls.py in the app level, right?
Yeah.
Whoops. All right, so let's go to our app URLs. And I'm going to say for a path of process form, I want to use views.processForm. Okay, let's see if I can resubmit this. I forgot something else that's also going to throw an error, so this will be fun. Oh, what about that too? Remember this guy? All right, we need that CSRF token. So if we go back into index.html, I can just drop that in here. So %sign CSRF token. Actually, I created a shortcut for this, and you guys could do this as well. Anyway, if you guys want to know how to do some nice little shortcuts, let me know, and I can kind of show you individually. All right. So now we got that CSRF token. Let's go back and try this again. I'll refresh the page. Let's pick burgundy. Submit this guy. Oh no, now we have another problem. Man, they keep piling up, right? This is the yellow screen of death. You guys will get kind of used to seeing this. All right. So the problem is that Django is trying to use our database to store session information, but our database is not yet usable. And later on, we're going to have this process where every time we want to use our database with Django projects, we have to do this process of making migrations and then migrating our database. So to use session, we're going to have to migrate the database. Let's go back to our terminal real quick. Now, you see this red message that you guys have probably been seeing? You have 17 unapplied migrations. Your project may not work properly until you apply the migrations. So that is indeed what's happening here, right? Our project's not working properly because we haven't migrated the database.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So even though the data is from your Python file, no way to specify that invite to a session, I guess, that you want to just use that, or like new session and just automatically goes to some database, whatever you're talking about?
Yeah, so by default, it's going to be using the actual Django database, which is also by default an actual file. So by default, Django is going to be using this database called SQLite, which basically works very similarly to regular MySQL. It's just that all the data is in one file in your actual project. Okay. All right. So let's see how we can get this error fixed. So let me just get out of here. All I need to do is I need to say Python manage.py and then migrate. Okay? That will basically make my database ready for use. Now we're not going to use it in any other sense today because we haven't really gotten to the database section, but I just need to do that in order to be able to use session. Okay? So here we go. And you can see what it's done is it's created a bunch of different database tables for me. One of which should be the session table. And here it is down here. So you see this guy? Sessions.0001_initial. So that's when it's creating our session database table. Okay. All right. So let's run the project one more time. Run server. Okay. Let's come in here. Go back, refresh this guy, and then let's go with burgundy again. Okay, so what happened here? It did? Why is the background not burgundy?
Like what color?
Is that not oh, that's not a legitimate color. Oh, we better change that. All right. What can we use instead of burgundy?
Black.
Black. Oh man, there we go. Okay, orange. Oh, pink. I like that. All right. Very good.
Blue is not a creative color.
Yeah, let's go pink, right?
Nice.
Ooh,
Yes.
there we go. Red.
Hell yeah.
Cool. All right. So yeah, we can try out all the if turquoise works. Oh, it does work.
What does cyan look like? Is cyan different than turquoise?
Let's take a look. Let's yeah, like a light blue or something like that. All right, cool. The other thing I was thinking about doing, and what I've done in the past, is we've kind of created a list of activities that have happened in the app. And this might come in handy if you guys are doing the Ninja Gold assignment. So basically, we'd have a list of activities that will say, like, you picked this color at this time, and then it would just kind of go down like that, right? You guys want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
It'd be pretty fun, right? Okay, so let's go into our code here for views.py. Let me just close that out real quick. Inside views.py, so if a user is using this for the very first time, I'm going to get inside this second part, right? So I'm going to say favorite color equals white. Okay. So if they've never used it before, I also want to put something in session, which is just going to be like an empty list of activities. So let's just say request.session, and we'll say activities is just going to be an empty list. Okay. All right. Now, what we want to do is we also want to pass this into the context as well, so that inside my template I can loop through those different activities, right? So let's add that to our context. So I'll say activities. Oops. And then I'll set that equal to request.session activities. All right. Now inside the template, let's just create some, just a little looping mechanism, right? So here in index.html, and close that out. We'll do it underneath the form. Okay, so you guys remember how we do a for loop inside the template?
Oh yeah, you do for I in range.
So I could say something like for activity in activities.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why that's hard to spell. All right. Ooh. Okay, and then let's end our for. Okay, so what I want to put each time is just going to be a p tag, and then it's going to have some information. So let's say you clicked, and then I'll have something like storing the actual color they clicked, right? So we'll say activity. Oh, the only thing is inside Django templating, we have to use dot notation instead of bracket notation. This will kind of throw you guys off a little bit too. So I'm going to say activity.color. All right. And then we'll say at a specific time. So we'll say activity.time period. Okay? So as you guys can see, we're going to create some dictionaries that have a couple different keys in them. They're going to have a color key, which is the color that that person picked, right? And then we want to have a time that they did it at. All right. So let's go back inside of our views. When we're processing the form, let's add a new piece of activity, right? So we did this. And let's say request.session. And then I'm going to be referencing my activities, right? Because this is just a list of things that have happened. Oops. Do you guys remember how we add to a list?
You create a new key value.
No, it's not. It's not a dictionary. It's a
Oh,
list,
okay.
right?
Oh yeah.
What's that? I mean, yeah, we could do bracket with index. That's true, but we have a method, right? Append. Yeah. So let's just append. Okay. I'm going to append a dictionary here, and that dictionary is going to have a color, which is request.post color, right? And then I also want to have a time in there, the time at which this occurred. All right. Has anyone messed with time in Python yet?
So weird.
You have to import
Yeah, I want to say it's something like this: from date time import date time, right?
I think it's like
Okay. And now that we have access to this date time here, we can call a method that's available to us. It's called now. So that would give us the current date time. So if I come down here, I'm going to say time is going to be datetime.now, and I'm going to invoke that function, as you can see there. All right. Okay, cool. So let's do that. Now I'm also, keep in mind that I currently have a session going in my application. So in order to even get this activities list working, I'm going to need to kill my session, right? Otherwise, I'll never get to this else block here. And therefore, I won't create my new activities list, right? So I'm basically just going to delete my session cookie in the browser, right? Just so that we don't have any problems in that regard. So let's go here. We'll go into application, cookies.
Oh my god, the logo.
The way?
It's a literal cookie.
Yeah, it actually is.
Why is it called a cookie?
Yeah, why is it called?
That's what they call it, right?
Yeah, kind of an interesting term. Think of it as sort of something that's being passed back from the server to the browser and then the browser back to the server.
So they're sharing.
It's just this thing that can be used to identify the user. It may have other information in it too, depending on what's been put in that cookie. But basically what we're doing, we're just using it to identify, hey, this is the same user that just made a request for my application. I know who that user is, right? Okay, so let me delete that real quick. We'll refresh this guy, and now we're starting from scratch. We're white again, right?
Apparently it comes from Hansel and Gretel who used to drop cookie crumbs to find their way through it.
Oh, that's where that came from?
Well, but it's also magic cookie, which is part of the unit. But anyways, gotcha.
Magic cookie.
Oh, and I looked up the date time thing.
It's
It
not
says
serializable.
from time, import GM time or STRF time.
That's another time.
Yeah, so the problem is that when we've created the datetime.now, we've created something that cannot be serialized, and therefore it can't be put into the session. So I think we're going to have to turn it into a string. Let me see if I can actually do that. So down here where we're processing our form, let's just try to convert this to a string. Would that work? I don't know. We'll test it real quick. Alright, so if we go cyan. Oh, there we go. Alright.
But you have to change the time zone.
Yeah, the time. Man, you're a tough crowd. Yeah, so that can be changed actually if you go inside your settings.py.
Yeah, the settings, there's a time zone setting or settings.
Okay. Let's see. Time zone UTC. So we want PDT, right? Pacific Daylight Time. All right. Oh, what happened?
The server stops.
Oh yeah, it sure did. Let's restart it. Oh, is it supposed to be PST, Pacific Standard Time?
No, it's supposed to be America / Los Angeles.
Ah, you're
So
right.
you have to type in the specific continent.
Okay, yeah, you are right about that.
What kind of like time zone definition is that, man?
There we go. Okay, so let's.
Oh, we do a
You
hard
used to pass a location, but still.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there we go. 11:05.
That's it.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right.
Excuse me, where did you change it to a string?
Oh, inside views.py. So inside views.py, let me drop that out. You can see here on line 27, I've used this little str function to just convert that into a string so that I can hold it in session. All right. So that was pretty fun. This is going to kind of resemble what you guys will do in Ninja Gold, because you'll have sort of a list of activities that you're printing out on the template. All right. Any questions on kind of what we did there? I tried to take it slow. Did that seem too fast or too slow?
This is slow.
It was slow? Too slow? No? Okay.
I thought it was good.
It was
I have
fast?
a question. So
Yeah.
for the CSRF token.
CSRF token.
And along with the loading, the load static.
Load static, right?
So does it matter if you put it anywhere in the template? For example, if I want to load a static file, should I put it, before? The
I
actual
believe it needs to be before you load the actual file.
load? So it will be saved.
If you put load static afterwards, you'd probably run into some trouble.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if we put it in the head section or body section,
Well, where are you loading the static asset? In the
right?
head?
In the head.
Oh,
But
then
for
make sure you do it in the head,
But for the-
above where you're loading
For
it.
the CSRF, that it doesn't matter.
No,
Am I wrong?
CSRF token needs to be inside the form.
Inside.
It has to be inside that form
I
element.
see.
Yeah,
Anywhere in the form.
anywhere in the form. Yep. Oh yeah, and that brings up another point. I meant to say something about the static thing that we were running into yesterday. I just had to restart the server. So you guys will have to do that if you make changes to your static files. You'll have to manually stop the server and start it back up. Because what happens is when Django first starts running, it kind of compiles all the static assets. So if you change those things, you're going to have to stop and restart. Okay? That's all that was. it did work afterwards. So, cool. All right. You guys feel pretty good about this? Any final questions about session? Cool. All right. Pong tournament I think will be starting pretty soon. Maybe like 11:15, 11:30, something like that.